Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the season announcement of the Toronto Symphony Orchestra's 2014-2015 season. My name is Roberta Smith. I'm the interim president and CEO at the Toronto Symphony Orchestra, and on behalf of the musicians, the staff, the volunteers, and the board of directors, we are delighted that you could join us this morning on this very cold and frosty morning, actually, to get the full details of what we have planned for you next season. But before we go into all of those details, I want to introduce you to somebody very special to the Toronto Symphony. Eileen Jurzak is a very familiar face to members of the TSO. And she's here with us in a couple capacities. She's a familiar face because she attends many concerts and special events, but she is also the co-founder of the TSO's Young Leadership Council, and she's been integral to the development of that outreach program for many young professionals like herself. She's also here, however, in her capacity as Vice President of Financial Products of BMO Capital Markets, and it's in that capacity that she is here to make a very special announcement about next year's season. Would you please join me in welcoming Eileen Jurzak?
Thank you, Roberta, for those very, very kind introductory remarks. Good morning, everybody. I'm excited to be here today representing my BMO colleagues, Luke Seabrook, Head of Financial Products and Debt Products at BMO Capital Markets, and Nada Ristich, Director of Corporate Donations. As a member of the TSO board, Luke is an enthusiastic advocate for the TSO, both at BMO and in the community. BMO Financial Group is dedicated to building stronger communities, and we believe that a vibrant arts culture is a key factor in creating and sustaining such communities. BMO is therefore proud of its association with the arts in Canada, and particularly of its longtime partnership with the TSO. Toronto is very fortunate to have an orchestra of the caliber of the TSO. At BMO, we believe that businesses and individuals in Toronto have a key role to play in ensuring the future of this great orchestra. And so I am delighted to announce that BMO has renewed its sponsorship for the upcoming 93rd season. Indeed, an investment in the Toronto Symphony Orchestra pays great dividends. And we look forward now to hearing the exciting plans for the upcoming 2014-15 season. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eileen, and thank you especially to BMO Financial Group, who have been strong supporters of the Toronto Symphony Orchestra for over 20 years. I'm sure that all of you realize that ticket sales alone only cover a small fraction of the cost of a major performing arts organization. And so we are extremely grateful to all of our donors, large and small, who give us the support that allows us to provide orchestral programming to you year after year. And now it is my great pleasure to hand the podium over to music director Peter Unjan, who has been working very hard for well over a year with the TSO's artistic team to design for you a program next year full of celebration and orchestral surprises. Our music director, Peter Unjan.
Thank you very much. Thanks to you all. Lovely to see you all, and welcome to this really beautiful enclosure here that we have. I get more and more fond of it because every time I look up, there's another building. In fact, I can see two new ones right now. So pretty soon it'll be dark in here. Anyway, very exciting season. I always love this moment to announce to you what we're going to be doing for the next 12 months. But this is particularly special because this year, our season does not begin in September as usual. It actually begins in August with a tour to Europe. The first time that the TSO has been away from North America since the year 2000. So I'm tremendously excited. In fact, we have a few videos during this morning's little presentation. Why don't we start already now with a little video about the tour. Here we go.
I'm violinist James Ennis, and I'm tremendously excited to be joining the Toronto Symphony Orchestra on their 2014 European tour. 2014 will be a special anniversary for me with the TSO, as it's been 20 years since my debut with this orchestra, and this will be our second tour together. A couple years ago we went on tour to Florida, and it was musically one of the great highlights of my career, as well as socially one of the great fun moments of my life. So I think this is going to be an amazing adventure for all of us. We're going to have the opportunity to play in some of the world's greatest concert halls and to introduce the TSO to many European audiences. I'm very proud of this opportunity and looking forward to it very, very much.
Well, there we go. And it's hard to believe that, well, he must have been 4 when he made his debut, I guess. Anyway, we're going to Austria, to Germany, to Finland, concert in the Concertgebouw, one of the most beautiful concert halls in Europe. And also at the end, we're going to Iceland. Again, an extraordinary concert hall called the Harpa, poised right on the Atlantic Ocean. It's going to be very exciting, and I'm extremely grateful that we're going to have a send-off concert here in Toronto for those of you who aren't coming on tour, and I fully expect all of you will be coming on our tour, but there'll be a send-off concert at the Toronto Summer Music Festival up in the beautiful Kerner Hall. And we're very, very grateful to the Summer Music Festival for putting this on, because it's just a wonderful thing to be able to prepare ourselves and get in the mode of playing in the middle of August before we go and present ourselves to the European audiences. So putting together a season is very exciting, as you can imagine. But at the beginning, you just have a completely clean slate. You could do almost anything, actually. So let me mention first a few highlights. Of course, we have our New Creations Festival. We have our Mozart Festival, as always, so we're just completing that tonight of this year, but we have a new curator, and I'll tell you about that. We have also some other conductors in residence. Sir Andrew Davis will be celebrating some ridiculous anniversary, which he'll tell you about. Gianandrea Noceda will be here not once but twice, once with the TSO and once in another project I'll tell you about in a minute. And Thomas Dausgaard will be here also in residence for a couple of weeks. And then we have a piano extravaganza featuring our great friend Emanuel Ax. The first week of concerts, a lot of exotic, wonderful music featuring Joshua Bell, and then a great program just purely for the orchestra, where we do Scheherazade, of course featuring our own Jonathan Crowe. I think Jonathan is here, but there. It's usually easy to see Jonathan, but yes, okay, he's there. Just while we're talking about Jonathan, we're extremely excited about the recording we did of Scheherazade, which will come out in the next few months on TSO Live. But also that we have a new program next year, which is the TSO Chamber Soloists. There'll be 4 performances, beginning at 6:45 in each case. One during the Nielsen-Beethoven Festival with Thomas Dausgaard, one during the Mozart Festival, one during the Piano Extravaganza, and then during Sir Andrew Davis's residency as well. So that's going to be very exciting, and I want to give a special thank you to Jonathan, who's worked so hard putting those programs together. Thank you, Jonathan. So let's talk about the Piano Extravaganza for a moment. Well, why don't we let somebody else talk about that before I talk about it? Ladies and gentlemen, here is Emanuel Ax.
Hi, I'm Emanuel Ax, and I play the piano, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be coming in the 14-15 season to the festival Celebrate the Piano, and I hope to be a large part of it. I hope to get to know a lot of pianists from Toronto and the rest of Canada and the rest of the world. And I hope that everyone, by the time we're done, will call me Manny.
Thank you, Mr. Ax. Anyway, he's a great friend. Actually, I first met Manny many years ago at the Aspen Festival, and he wanted to learn how to play tennis. And he knew that I was an avid tennis player, so he sort of bribed me. He said, if you give me tennis lessons, you can come over and play any concerto you want, and I'll accompany you and, help you out. And it was a very good deal, actually. Except I remember we were playing through the Brahms concerto, and the phone kept ringing. And he said, oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. And he would pick up the phone, and it was Isaac Stern. And then he'd talk to him for a few minutes, and then we'd play a few more phrases, and the phone would ring again. And this time his wife answered and chatted for a while with somebody while I was playing the Brahms concerto, and then she finally came in and said, "Sorry, Manny, could you, Yo-Yo was just listening to that." And, okay, very nice, thank you. So that's what made me a conductor, I guess. Anyhow, the piano extravaganza, you're not getting a lot of information so far, are you? But the piano extravaganza is going to be amazing. And if Manny had had his way, he would have had every single pianist in the world in Toronto during this 2 week. And we have almost every single pianist. It's really incredible. But essentially, there's going to be a new Steinway. We're very, very excited about this. We're going to be unveiling the new piano at the first concert. And the first thing that will happen is that Manny will sit down and play the purest thing you can really do, which is a Schubert impromptu. And then he has guests from all over the place. In this particular case, Pavel Kolesnikov, who just won the Honen's Prize. And this is a very exciting idea of Manny's, to have pianists of all generations, friends of his, very young pianists, people in the community who just play the piano. He wants to get everybody involved. And when the orchestra plays, we'll be doing all kinds of music, but almost exclusively music that was originally written for the piano. So you'll be able to see when you get your brochures that there's an entire page on the inside cover about this wonderful extravaganza. Actually, the whole season, I'd have to say, celebrates the piano, because we have several great, great pianists, almost all of whom have never been in Toronto, coming to visit us. Daniel Trifonov, I think he won the Tchaikovsky, but a great, great pianist. Katya Bunyatishvili, practice that one. Extraordinary pianist. Alice Sarah Ott. Jan Leszecki has been here before, will be part of the extravaganza and also part of the Nielsen Beethoven. I'll tell you about that later. Valentina Lisitsa, who's become very famous. Her Rachmaninoff G minor prelude on YouTube has now had 3.7 million hits. That's not bad. And then a pianist called Benedetto Lupo, great, great Italian pianist. So there's plenty to be excited about with the piano next season. Let me go now to the two festivals. We, of course, have our annual New Creations Festival. This year coming up, we have John Adams as the sort of curator. Next year, we've chosen George Benjamin. Now, George Benjamin is, in Europe now, has become really one of the most significant names in the composition world. He just won Musical America's Composer of the Year. And in Britain, there are many, many great composers. The ones we've known about most, Ollie Nusson, who's been here many times, and of course, the younger generation, Thomas Addis, and George Benjamin is really the next coming up in his new generation. So there are 3 programs, as always, and they all have titles. One, A Mind of Winter. This features a piece of Benjamin's called A Mind of Winter, but also the premiere, again with Jonathan Crow, of the violin concerto by Vivian Fung, wonderful Chinese-Canadian composer. And then the final piece on that program will be Henri Dutilleur's Métabole. Now, this is very important because Dutilleur sadly passed away this year at a grand age. But for those of you who remember, our very first New Creations Festival, he was here with us. He was a sprightly 89-year-old at that time. He arrived with jet lag, and I could not keep up with him. I mean, at 2 o'clock in the morning, he wanted another bottle of wine. It was quite impressive. So if you want to live to 99, you know how to do it. So we're doing this piece sort of as a tribute to the great Henri Dutilleur. The second program, let me tell you, a premiere by Chris Paul Harmon, Canadian composer, and then George Benjamin's A Duet for Piano and Orchestra, literally like a concerto for orchestra and piano. And then songs featuring Barbara Hannigan, the extraordinary Canadian soprano, by Hans Abramson. This is a kind of study of the character of Ophelia. The third program is going to be the opera Written on Skin. Now, this is an extraordinary event, actually. It's only the 2nd performance in the world. It was premiered in Aix-en-Provence to enormous acclaim, and it's an extremely edgy opera, and it's an extremely bold undertaking, and I hope that all of you will be able to come and witness this. Saturday, March 7th, 2015. It's really going to be an extraordinary event. So we're delighted to have this festival every year. We so appreciate all of you who support this concept. It really is of great significance. I'm also always grateful to Gary Kulesha and now Kevin Lau, our affiliate composer, for all the help they give to us in putting these programs together. Thank you very much to both of you. I think you're here. So the Mozart at 259 Festival will be curated by Bernard Labadie. We all know who he is, a wonderful artist, and has really specialized in the interpretations of Baroque and classical music particularly. And he's put together 3 lovely programs, Mozart as performer, Mozart family ties, and then the Mozart Mass in C minor. And they're really going to be beautiful, some different ideas as well. They'll be in the Mozart family ties. Of course, you're going to have some music of Leopold Mozart, including the alto trombone concerto and the trumpet concerto. And there's a Haydn symphony this time on the Mozart Festival. So we're just changing it a little bit coming up this year because it will be, I suppose, something like the 11th festival of Mozart. And while, of course, his literature is so incredibly rich, it's also wonderful to hear the environment in which he grew up and the other influences that he had as part of the festival. So we're really looking forward very much to having Bernard Labadie with us for those 2 weeks in January. The next sort of event is a celebration of Nielsen and Beethoven. It will be 150 years since the birth of Nielsen, and a really very significant voice of the 20th century. It's that kind of music that we talk about, the big names of the 20th century, whether it's Bartók or Stravinsky or whoever, but when you start to look a little bit more deeply, you see whether there's incredible quality music from several of these composers that are not quite as well known. You know, Martinu, I would say, Nielsen, these are examples. And so we're very, very fortunate to have Thomas Dausgaard returning for 2 weeks. You may remember that he did all the Sibelius symphonies for 2 weeks. A great musician, a great friend of all of ours. And he will be with Jan Leszecki, playing fantastic programs, incorporating 3 of the symphonies of Nielsen and the 3rd, 4th, 5th Beethoven piano concerti. I think it's going to be a very exciting couple of weeks for all of us. Now, believe it or not, I mentioned that Sir Andrew Davis has been with us for a frightening amount of time. And, and it's 40 years. Can you imagine? And so he's doing, again, a residency with wonderful programs. He will start with the Verdi Requiem. And then in his 2nd week, he's going to do a program that is kind of dedicated to the memory of all the programs he did on tours, various tours. And this includes a piece of his own called La Serenissima. And then Louis Lortie, who's actually very close to this building right now because he conducted and played last night and will again tonight, will play the Liszt First Piano Concerto, I think was the first China tour. And then he'll do Berlioz' Le Corsaire and Pictures at an Exhibition. And then just at the end of that week, he's going to have he's discovered a cellist called Yo. Well, yeah. Anyway, so it's an amazing program. It's Elgar Cello Concerto and Holst the Planet. So it's a great way to pay tribute to all that Sir Andrew Davis has given us over the years. And I'm very, very excited to welcome Sir Andrew to our lovely silver screen now.
Hello, everyone. I'm so much looking forward to being here for the 14-15 Toronto Symphony Orchestra season. It's a special one for me because this is the 40th year since I became music director of the orchestra, and I haven't missed one since. The Toronto Symphony was a fine orchestra when I first conducted here, but the way it's grown over the last 40 years is really astonishing. It's now one of the great orchestras of the world, and an ensemble that I derive great joy in coming to work with.
We have several special presentations that I want to mention. There are 200 members of the Turin Royal Theatre who will be touring for the very first time in North America with a concert production of William Tell. And they will be here with Gian Andrea Noceda, our great friend, who will be back with the orchestra at another point in the season. But this is going to be a really major, extraordinary event. There's a concert named Ararat. We all are familiar with Adam Egoyan, and Adam came to me recently and said, you know, it would be really wonderful to do a program of Armenian music, kind of a concert of peace and remembrance, in which he said his good friend and composer Michael Danner, who of course just won the Oscar for his score of Life of Pi, apparently had expressed interest in taking the score of Ararat, which is a very beautiful score, and creating a kind of symphonic suite of 20 or 25 minutes with it. So this developed into an idea of having an entire evening with Isabel Baraktaryan, this wonderful Serge Khachatryan violinist playing the Khachatorian violin concerto, and Unjian, as we sometimes say it, conducting it, so that we're going to have a really wonderful celebration, also some other music of Khachatorian, and I'm looking forward very much to that. I'm excited that we have a premiere for Latin Jazz Trio and Orchestra, a concerto by Ilario Duran, who I believe is here. There he is at the back. Welcome, Ilario. Fantastic. So this is a concerto that has been commissioned by the Gelber family, to whom we're very grateful, and I think there are members of the Gelber family. Yes, right here. There we go. Yes, fantastic. Yeah. And it will be April 29th, 2015, conducted by Roberto Minchuk, a wonderful conductor. So we're very excited about that. And then the second Chinese New Year concert will take place. The first one has not yet taken place, but will in a couple of weeks, actually, with Yujia Wang. And this will be conducted by Long Yu. It's a very important, I think, addition to our activities here, because we do have at least 500,000 Chinese people living in Toronto. And I think it's going to be really significant. We will also have a soloist, not quite decided upon, but something very exciting in the works for that Chinese New Year concert. I want to talk about Pops, because Steve Reinecker has now settled in completely as our principal Pops conductor, and he's a really extraordinary artist and a wonderful human being. And he's got a great series of 5 concerts. And in addition to that, there'll be a concert performance of Fantasia with the film going on, so the orchestra will play the score, which is very exciting. But he's got programs that I just love. Best of the Beatles. I'm glad my father's not here because, you know, I mean, he's not anywhere near, actually. But I never forget being, you know, whatever I was, and listening to the Beatles, and he came in and took that LP off and threw it on the floor and stamped with his foot on it. You know, he was a great music lover, but he hadn't quite understood the Beatles yet, I guess. And here we are now doing Best of the Beatles, you know, and it's fantastic. That's the way life goes. Don't worry, he didn't break it. No, he didn't break it. He broke the Cliff Richard one, but not the Beatles. Yeah. So, and then he has a Celtic Christmas, and then a wonderful program called From Bach to Bluegrass, featuring Time for 3. They're extraordinary, 2 violinists and a double bass player. They were all Curtis students. 2 of them actually I taught for a short time, and they're really brilliant string players, and they play all kinds of styles. So this program will be exciting. There's one called As Heard on TV, with lots of famous themes from great TV shows. And he has a way of putting these things together that just makes it all come to life so brilliantly. And then The Wizard and I, Broadway hits. So that'll all be very exciting, and I'm just delighted to have Steve Reinecker as part of our team. Now, as if that isn't enough fun, we're doing something very new this coming year. And we decided that it might be fun to have a bit of a laugh. I mean, we have quite a few laughs here and there, but some of them unintentional. But this time they're going to be intentional. And so we decided that, actually, I think we were approached by the wonderful people at Second City who said, you know, wouldn't it be fun to have an evening of, you know, orchestra and humor? And why not? So we engaged in conversations, and they were all very compelling and entertaining. And anyway, I have absolutely no idea what we're doing, but we had a really good meeting just last week, and we we took a film of it. So I think we might as well share it with you so that you can see where we stand at this point.
Thank you again for meeting with us, Peter. The Second City is just so thrilled to be working with the TSO on this project.
Great pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, we're comedians, so we're just excited to be working.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, I can hardly wait to hear what you guys have come up with. Besides, I've already signed the contract.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to stress that this is going to be a team effort. You know, we're talking total collaboration here, so...
That's my tea, actually.
Actually, we're collaborating, so it's our tea. Would you like a sip of our tea?
No, I'm all right. Thanks very much. Ideas?
Well, one idea we had is kind of a classic scene. It's a first date at the TSO, right?
So you've got a girl and a guy, and they're both really nervous because they want to impress each other, but they don't know all the composers' names, or, you know, what a first violin is. You know, oh, is there a second violin?
Is there a fifth? Right. That's fun, you know.
Yeah.
Another idea we had is the orchestra goes on tour, but the darn airline loses their luggage. So they have to go on stage and use found objects as instruments. We're talking hats, we're talking buckets, we're talking pots, we're talking pans, we're talking hats.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
I thought perhaps a giant monster could come and attack the TSO because it hates classical music and people who are dressed monochromatically.
Yes, and I am seeing a unicorn. And not one of your fancy-pantsy, virgin in the forest, you know, best friends for life, sounds like Mia Farrow, wish-granting, frolicking unicorns either. I am talking about a snarling, snotting, red-eyed monstrosity, a real beast, you know?
A man's unicorn.
Exactly, and this man's unicorn jumps out of the audience onto the stage, and the only way to appease this horned monstrosity is rap over classical music, a hybrid that we call...
Rapsicle!
Or classical muse rap.
I just wonder if you know...
I don't need you to say another word. I know what you want. You want something edgier, okay? Picture this, breaking bows. It's like Breaking Bad, but with bows!
Here's what I think. I think you take the entire orchestra, dress them like city council, have them play with their backs to you. It's a think piece.
A musical tribute to Bacon.
The internet.
I want the whole thing to happen on ice.
Symphony.
I'm just saying words with my mouth now.
We fire all the musicians and we replace them with mimes, except, and here's the twist.
They're not really mimes, they're actually dragons!
What's your CGI budget? Because you're gonna need to triple it, my man.
Just this.
Whoa! Can't we just have a nice evening of funny scenes and songs which help us all celebrate our mutual love for the symphony orchestra? Wouldn't that be nice?
Sure, I guess we could do that.
Yeah, I guess we'll just get started on some rewrites.
Great.
I'll go return this.
Great. Yeah, do that, please. You're not a monster, are you, Clover? No, you're not. You're my magical friend. Dee 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 da 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 dee dee da 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 dee dee.
So they have a real influence on one, I suppose, after a while. Anyway, so we're really excited. Klaus, thank you for being here today, by the way. Klaus Schuller developed all of these ideas. I think it's going to be great fun. I'm really looking forward to that. There are, to go sort of from the ridiculous to the sublime, let's talk about some of the major works that I'm just thrilled to be conducting next year. And a lot of them are choral, I'd have to say. All of them deeply spiritual, for sure. In the second week of the season, we do a Beethoven 9. We end the season with Mahler 2, Resurrection, truly one of the greatest masterpieces ever conceived. Elgar's Dream of Gerontius, and Bruckner 7. The Dream of Gerontius, by the way, will have feature Ben Heppner and Catherine Wynne-Rogers and John Relia as bass baritone. So this is something I'm really terribly excited about because, you know, it's amazing, isn't it, that you do that one hour and then you go and conduct a rehearsal of Bruckner 7 the next hour. You know, you've got to consider yourself lucky because that's what life should be, an experience of contrasts and the biggest array of experiences that we can possibly imagine. And I think that's what we try to present to you here in this hall or wherever we play, just a feeling that something happens that is a little bit beyond what we normally experience. And I think that's why you're all here today. That's why you all come, because there's something in the power of the music that we play that can be transformative. And sharing that with a couple of thousand other people is unlike anything you can do at home, despite the fact that YouTube has almost anything available on it, and you probably all have big screens and great sound systems. It's nothing quite like being here and experiencing us all committing ourselves to the passion and the sincerity and the kind of life-reflecting experience that takes place when we play great music. So I want to thank you all very much for attending this morning and remind you that there's a rehearsal going on shortly in the hall, which should be very exciting. I want to thank, of course, our marketing department, who worked so hard on all of this, our artistic department led by Loie Fallis, who put together all of this and helped me so profoundly with all of the ideas. It's fun, isn't it? Yeah. And of course, the players, without whom none of this would happen. They are very extraordinary human beings. They have a wonderful relationship with each other, I think with all of you, and I think above all with the music. There's a great deal of passion and sincere affection that exists backstage and on stage with this group of people, and I find that deeply moving. What we do here is vital, it's vibrant, and it's not good enough that we just survive as an organization. We must thrive. We must do what this city deserves. And with everybody's help, I believe we truly can achieve that. And I just want to end with a little quote from somebody I'm always was very inspired by, a man named Maynard Solomon, just who talks about the value of art, something so difficult, really, to discuss in life. If we lose our awareness of the transcendent realms of play, beauty, and kinship that are portrayed in the great affirmative works of our culture, if we lose the reconciling dream of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, there may remain no counterpoise against the engulfing terrors of civilization. Masterpieces of art are instilled with a surplus of constantly renewable energy, an energy that provides a motive force for changes in the relations between human beings because they contain projections of human desires that have not yet been achieved. I think that's beautifully put. I thank you all so much for being here this morning, and I wish you well.